Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities. Welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And first of all, I'd like to just quickly apologise. This review was supposed to have come out the other day, but of course, I've been binge watching a lot recently, and so I kind of got caught up with that and forgot to get round to this. But we're here now, and that's what matters. So, the Doctor, Charlie, and Cr'izz are off again in the Divergent universe, searching for their beloved Tardis, trying to find answers to what exactly has happened to it. But as they do so, Cr'izz begins to find himself feeling very faint, and the memories of Lyda are eating away at him, and he doesn't know how much longer he can fight it off. And so the Doctor and Charlie try and take him to the TARDIS, hoping that maybe it will relax them. But then the Doctor remembers the TARDIS is nowhere to be seen, so they must find the next best thing. Suddenly the crocker comes out of nowhere and points out to the Doctor that there is a safe haven very, very close by. Once the Doctor, Charlie, and Cr'izz arrive there, they soon realise that this safe haven is a conjoined collection of religions. A kind of marketplace for religions, you might say. A place in which all the religions come together and essentially bicker about what religion is the true one. It's a kind of speaker's corner. But no, right, but essentially they all come together and they're all allowed to have their own faiths. And so there is the competition to pretty much endorse people into your faith, and it is an open opportunity for people to learn about each and every different element of different religions. Spiritual, intellectual, scientific, all of them have come together in this collective to essentially embrace each other. When the Doctor asks how this all happened in the beginning, the Bordernan, this woman in charge of it all, essentially explains to him that there were two children in the desert, if the stories are to be believed, and the two children argued on which one's god was the ultimate god, and eventually they came to the settlement of the idea that maybe they don't have to have one god or one almighty god, who they believe in, but essentially that they have the freedom to have their own gods. And so the pair of them got to work and built a haven in which all religions could come and worship and be themselves, while also embracing others' cultures and respecting others' beliefs. However, similar to the real world in all cases, there are people of a faith who believe that they should be the superior faith, and this begins to cause ruckus in the safe haven. This out spiral of disaster begins to make people be controlled by them. Some people falling to the religion out of cowardice, and others choosing to flee for their beliefs. Now, this fleeing kind of reminds me a little bit in a way of Demons of the Punjab. But back to the story at hand. The Doctor and his friend Charlie soon learn that Cr'izz, their friend, seems to have been brainwashed by this religion, so the Doctor begins to inspect deeper into the root and try to find the cause of the problem. Charlie and the Doctor embrace the cult for a little while, trying to be very skeptical about their beliefs and see if there is any foundation to their religion. Once the Doctor sees that it's all superstition, smoke and mirrors, the Doctor begins to put two and two together, and soon realises that the crystals being removed from the skulls of worshippers have been killing them slowly but surely, so that a crystalline life form can overthrow them all, and use its powers to be the ultimate faith stealer. The Doctor also puts together that the abbot, the top of the cult/religion, has essentially been brought into existence by these crystals, because the crystals knew that they couldn't get into the haven of religions without a physical form. And so they have created a made up person by their own dreams who has been brainwashing people in the haven so that when they go into their dreams, they give themselves over to the religion. However, the reality of this, meaning that the crystals have actually been feeding on their life force so that they can grow stronger and more powerful in order to take over the whole haven as a whole. The Doctor goes to the Borderland, but sadly she has been killed by the crystalline life forms. Meanwhile, one of the disciples of the religion/cult has essentially fallen from grace and finally woken up to the reality of what's happening. This young lady tries to help the Doctor, Cr'izz, and Charlie after Cr'izz starts spewing a bunch of rhetoric in the street about the religion. His propaganda disputes, though, are cut very short when the Doctor and Charlie intervene and pull him away from the situation, especially pointing out that Cr'izz has no foundation to this religion and doesn't seem to truly understand it. Going back a bit, though, however, the Doctor and Charlotte have to impose themselves into the haven by essentially lying about being a religion. They call themselves the Tourists, which is kind of funny when you have one of the people at the gates go, bloody tourists or something, because in other words, he's taking the mick out of when people go to somewhere. On top of this, I think the real nice and real interesting part of this story is when Cr'izz is praised as a deity by Charlotte and the Doctor. It's kind of a way on top of it to explain away their religion. Is for them to be tourists, they must believe in something, and so they use Cr'izz as a bit of a scapegoat and say that he is their god. Further down the line, though, Cr'izz, before unbrainwashed by Charlotte and the Doctor, is further pushed into the radicalization of the religion when they try to mind wipe half of the religion's rhetoric and instead manage to open up this Lucidianism, or however you pronounce it, and this means that Cr'izz kind of turns on the guy who was experimenting on him. The guy who was experimenting on him, however, was not given permission by the Doctor to do this, and instead thought that he could take the power of the religion into his own hands. However, the karma of this is that he gets killed and controlled. Now, in the end of this story, the Doctor, Charlotte, and Cr'izz managed to overpower the religion and bring about a new Borderland. The woman who fell from grace from the religion that she was so indoctrinated into begins to realize that maybe she can rebuild the safe haven so that religions can strive once again and live in peace. So, Doctor Who, The Faith Stealers. What did I think? I love the kind of the history that is embedded in this sort of story. The way that it reflects our own world and the way that religions are sometimes tainted by people. Also, the way that it kind of talks about the idea of when's a religion and when's it a cult, when's it a belief, when's it propaganda, and when's it rhetoric. And the way that all of these religions that come together in this story are pretty much embodying these kind of traits is brilliant. I mean, the funny religion in this story is the religion of accidents. A guy who believes that any time he gets hit or trips over something, it's a good sign. He wishes the Doctor great chaos, to which the Doctor ironically jokes that he is always in chaos. So overall, as I said, this is a very strong message of a story, and I feel like it really comes together with these kind of themes of togetherness and trying to lift people up rather than divide them. And for that reason, I give Doctor Who The Faith Stealers a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Till then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and have an incredible day.